Okay,
So
so
number
number
one
two,
is
yeah.
sound. Number two.
Number two is touch.
Ooh, that's right.
All right, and
Touch in
usually
like your body.
touches in your whole body,
Yeah,
touching things, right? Usually when we talk in Montessori, we think about the fingers a lot.
that's right.
But
The
also
hand is a special tool.
friends could also be toes. It could be your elbow, could be your entire body movement. What we're really talking about with the sense is be it something that is tactile, something that you can touch and feel. So when you engage this tactile sense, it is literally sending signals to the brain. And this works across the board. This is a whole episode just about teaching reading.
Yep.
But we actually touched on this in a coaching session not too long ago when I was talking to our lower elementary friends about teaching math.
Yeah.
They're like, and we did that was a whole coaching session, just like we really were talking about this particular point about the fingertips are so sensitive and they have a direct link to the neurons firing in your brain. And the emphasis in this particular amount of research was about the connection between the fingertips and learning mathematical concepts, but it is no less true for teaching reading.
Yeah.
So do you want to talk about a few?
Well,
mention a few things that we do.
This obviously is going to be where you're going to think classic material like the sandpaper letters.
Yes.
Right? So what is it that makes a sandpaper letters so magical? They are rough and smooth. And your child is able to trace that shape around the letter. And like you were saying, it's going to send those signals. So you're going to do these things concurrently, but you're going to have that sound experience. You're going to be getting them to hear those sounds, and it's going to be forming this really diverse, meaningful sense of the auditory awareness, right? And then you're going to start to bring in tactile experience, physically tactile experiences, like I'm rubbing my finger and I'm feeling that this thing, which we'll say is the letter R, they won't know it's the letter R, they'll just know it's a shape. And then they're going to feel the way that shape, and it's going to start to then connect because you're going to do things like robot. You're going to start to then connect those sound games that you were playing and the sort of other techniques that you're using to bring that awareness. And you're going to start to bring in that physical. So another one, of course, would be the movable alphabet. Now, of course, this doesn't have raised letters like the sandpaper, but it's a logical progression, right? So the sandpaper letters are really giving you a super tactile sense of the shape and building in the brain a connection that this thing that looks this way has a name, and that name is the letter name, and it makes a sound. And now I'm going to progress beyond that to now I can recognize that shape on a tile, and I can play with that shape. Robot, robin, ribbon, right? So you have taken them from the very first tactile impression with the finger tracing, and now you're taking to a tactile experience where they can actually manipulate the letter, hold it up, it's a little tile or something, but imprinted on that is that same shape. And you're helping walk the child closer and closer to that abstraction. And all the while they're hearing in their mind all of those sound games. And it's going to start to weave together. Now, there are a bunch of others.
There are
metal insets,
I also want to be
sand table.
We talked about this earlier. Before we went live, we were talking about this. How just because we say like definitely make sure that the sounds are really well developed, the auditory sense is well developed. It doesn't mean that the sound comes first and then touching.
That's exactly
next.
right.
Okay, so that's not what
there is a concurrent process here.
So here's an example of like an earlier activity before you even introduce the sandpaper letters.
Okay.
Is what we're trying to do with kids is to take these sounds which they cannot physically
you can't
hold,
see or
right?
hold
You can't see or hold a sound
or a word.
So even or a word, like let's take the word or the sounds that make up the word David. Like, what is David? Right?
Yeah.
It's just a grouping of sounds. But what physically is David is you. And so when, so an
Oh,
easy
great.
example would be
Yes.
like you have your 2-year-old and you're like, shake David's hand. This is a David. This is his hand. And we'll shake the
This is
hand,
called
right?
shaking.
And so now we can feel David, and we know that David is a thing. We can see him, we can feel him tactilely, hug him if we want to, which I always do. And then when we're ready and we've introduced some of those letters and we've made the relationship between the sound D and the physical shape of the letter D, then maybe we play a game like, please take this D to the person whose name starts with D. And if they know that this is a David and they know that this starts with a D, we're then associating, the sound D to the physical representation of a D, and then the person,
So
whose name belongs with that
here's my
same sound. So it's
desk.
Yeah.
David.
Yeah. So with this second principle, engaging the principle of like touching and feeling, making things tactile, it doesn't just, we don't stop with the sandpaper letters or the movable alphabet. We want to integrate in like objects, anything that you can feel or touch to make that correspondence between what this abstract sound that you are hearing and a tactile thing that you can touch and manipulate and feel or interact with.
This reminds me of another, which is the Bring Me game. It's kind of, I think, similar, right?
Yeah.
Where you could say,
yes, that's like a variation on Bring Me.
Right. Bring me something that starts with a. You brought me an apple. Yes, apple. Apple starts with a.
Oh.
What were you thinking?
I thought you were saying like umbrella.
Ooh.
But you were saying like apple.
That's what I said. I said apple.
You totally said
Bring me then I'll hard consonants next time. Bring me bring me a toothbrush.
Toothbrush.
Right? So this is actually going back to the sound, right? The sound, the or the or the
thinking about pen and pen again, which is
I'm a Texan. What can I say?
Dialect difference.
Sounded like Aubrey to me. No, but yeah. So to take this to the the touch, right? So you could be playing a game like. Bring me something that starts with a t, right? And this is a sound game. But then you could also say, take the t, like let's say a sandpaper letter T, take the t to something that starts with t, and they could carry it to the toothbrush, right? So, and then you would want them to go run, like take it and bring me a t, 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 and they go and they grab the top. Or you could set the objects, the letters on the other side of the room. Right? Just a couple. And you would say, bring me the t, t. And then they'd have to run over to the other side of the room and they have to get the T and they bring it back to you. Right? So you're engaging the whole body. They're physically touching, they're interacting with this representation, and they're connecting it to the sound. So these are like any of these kinds of early games. And then you're going to progress from that, right? You're going to go all the way up when they're older to doing things like using the grammar symbols, which are physical representations of the parts of speech, and they're awesome. They're unique to Montessori as far as I know. To teach.
And there's a whole grammar, by the way, there's a whole
elementary
curriculum in the lower elementary.
That's right. Yeah, and actually you're going to, in fact, with reading and writing, with the reading and writing specifically, you are going to, by the time you're in level 4, you're mostly focusing on grammar, the study of language, because these earlier first 3 levels will teach them the principles. And so, but you're not going to stop doing this kind of sound and tactile sensorial expression. You're going to continue doing that all the way through. So they're going to take a sentence, the cat sat, and they're going to diagram that sentence using little objects, the grammar symbols. And you're going to connect the parts of speech to a symbol that has a shape, a recognizable shape, but also a symbol. Like it's symbolic. This is the sun. It's red and round, and this is the black triangle. It's like earthy and it's like coal or whatever, right? There's the whole. This is the family, right? The noun, the adjective, and the article, right? And we describe it as a family, a mother and a daughter and a little baby, right? So there's a whole kind of metaphoric language that goes with this that actually feeds in, and it all centers back on, I can actually hold this little blue triangle. This is a continuation of what you would be doing with go bring me the
That's right. When you were talking about the toothbrush, I was thinking, you can always count on me for like ideas for variations on these games because I find this part of Montessori so much fun.
Yeah.
The fact that like we're playful with kids. Maria Montessori was constantly doing this too. She has a reputation for being all serious in her black Victorian garb with a little.
Well, she was in mourning garb. So. Exactly.
I know, but the pictures, the pictures exist out there, and that's what people think of as like it's antiquated. We're very formal. People don't smile in photos. It's Victorian times. But in actuality, she was just so goofy with the kids, and so all these games existed in her classroom as well. Maria Montessori actually didn't spend, she didn't spend teaching full-time in the classroom either. Most of the teaching was actually done by teaching instructors, the directress of each classroom. And they were told to be playful and experimentational with the kids, like just experiment and love on the kids and have fun and play with things.
That's
and
right.
So I'm sure Maria, it's not talked about very often, but I'm sure a lot of the things that really got the Montessori movement going came actually from mostly parents and those very early teachers that were hired.
It's got to be joyful, like joy. It has to be the center of your teaching.
So when you were thinking of that, I was thinking you could give your child the and say, take this into the bathroom.
Oh, yes.
And find something that begins with t. And then I imagine them finding the toothbrush,
or toothpaste,
or the toilet,
or the tile, or the toilet paper.
Right. So many things in the bathroom beginning with T. Yes, exactly. This one was like, how fun would that be?
And it is fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it's joyful, and it's actually teaching. I think sometimes we underestimate the importance of these games. I think sometimes we think of them as just like, baby stuff, but they're actually really, really important.
Yeah.
And so if you're doing this or you are starting to want to incorporate this stuff, that's awesome. Because if you're already doing it or you're like, I'm going to try that out, you're going to be teaching reading or reinforcing the skills with reading.
Yes, and with homeschoolers, teachers in the classroom, of course, can play all these kind of games too. But just think, like if you are watching this and you're a homeschooler, thinking about homeschooling your kid, wondering if you have what it takes to teach your child how to read, just think about all of the opportunities that exist in your home with these kind of very low-key games. I'm sorry, that you cannot play. You can't necessarily play with like 30 kids in a class or 25 or 20 or whatever, that you could just play one-on-one with a child.
It just integrates into your app, let's say you're cooking and your child is with you, which we would say is like awesome. That's definitely part with practical life, and you're, homeschooling together, and the cooking is a part of that.
Yeah.
And you're using that to listen to the sounds of the different kind of tools that you're using.
Oh, I'm trying to think of the things that begin with in the kitchen now.
Teaspoon.
But yes, tools, teaspoon.
Yes, table salt.
All right,
before we go on, we have Tremaine says, that's awesome. Where can I find the curriculum, please? Well, I'm not sure if you're in our community already. If you are, then you'll find the lower L and primary curriculum in the foundation section of the membership site. So just log into the membership. Log in, go to foundations, and you'll find all of the curriculum and the self-paced courses that will get you rolling, which in both of them have emphasis on, one is on primary and one's on lower L. and they'll each walk you through how to teach reading and writing for those age levels.
Now, we have been getting a lot of inquiries from alumni of our courses and curriculum that we have published in the past. And just a note for those of you who are rediscovering our curriculum or wanting to tap back into those resources, that we have completely overhauled, all of our materials. And what the Montessori method that was before is still the Montessori method. So if you're an alumni and you learn the Montessori method, you got the Montessori method, but the materials themselves, like we've got these new beautiful planning cards. They're all on our our member site, but you do need to be a member of the complete
or
unlimited plans.
Oh, Tremaine, your name is familiar. Yes. You're a past alumni. Yeah, so you can find your materials in the alumni section. And these lessons are still there. They're just going to be formatted and written out in a different way. Like Aubrey said, we've revamped quite a bit and expanded. And if you're interested in taking a look at the newer edition, just reach out to us and we'll be happy to, talk to you about what that what it would look like to, say, rejoin as an alumni. We're always happy to welcome alumni back at a good discount too, in fact. Or if you're looking you just want to refresh yourself with the materials that you've had before, you can definitely grab those on the membership site under the alumni section.
Right.